And so as I'm walking down the hallway and getting ready to go knock on this man's door, I'm suddenly brought to the awareness that I was taking care of my son, 3 years old, just a few minutes before this. And now I get to take care of this elderly man, almost 90 years older than my son. And here I am in the middle of those 2 points. So it put me into a very reflective point in my life, very, very reflective moment. And so I'm get this gentleman up, we're walking with his walker, and all of a sudden, I begin to smell the very familiar aroma of human feces. If you woke up today and on your way to your work, your job, whatever you do, you had even a small inkling of a thought that this is not the way that I'm supposed to be spending my time every day, this is not what I was put on this earth here to do, then I want you to listen up, because I've got a story for you that reflects back to a time not long ago when I was experiencing this very feeling at an extreme depth. So a little bit of context. For those of you who don't know, I was a physical therapist for 10 years before I ever got into the work that I'm doing today. I went to grad school for it, got my doctorate in physical therapy, and made a really nice living for myself. In fact, my career as a physical therapist allowed me to do so many of the things and lead up to and build what you see right in front of you today in The Rising Man. But I was never really satisfied being a physical therapist. I even knew from my first day on the job that was never going to be the thing that I did for the rest of my life. I knew that wasn't going to be the way that I impacted people. Know exactly what the next thing was for a long time. So little by little, I crawled and made my way closer to what you see today, leading men, creating initiatory practices and rituals to reintroduce back into our society, helping men to become better leaders in their families and in their communities. And there was a time 5 years ago I'll never forget, because it was 2018 and I was beginning to do more of this work. In fact, it was right when we launched the podcast, and I was beginning to coach men more, and I was building new programs and opportunities to give the gift that I really felt in my heart to the world. But I still had to work as a physical therapist to make things match up. And so at the time, my son was 3 years old. He was still in diapers. And I'll never forget, because I was working as a traveling physical therapist, where I would go and mostly take care of elderly folks or people with advanced illness and teach them how to walk and do basic functioning skills. And one morning I was going through my normal routine of getting my son ready to take him to school before I went to work. And right before we went out the door, just as any parent can relate to, my son took a crap in his diaper. And immediately it's that, oh God, we were so close. We were about to be right out the door, and you crapped your pants. Okay, no worries. Let's handle it. Let's figure it out. So I remember changing his diaper, changing his clothes, getting him ready to go in the car, drop him off at school. Okay, here I am driving to work, just thinking to myself, all right, how am I going to get myself motivated for the day? And I remember I was going to see a 92-year-old man who had advanced dementia and was living in a memory care facility for other people who had advanced dementia or other memory illnesses that required extra attention and care. And I would go see this man twice a week and essentially help him walk around. But he never remembered who I was. He was really kind and pleasant most of the time, but the dynamic of the connection was just, it was like he wanted to connect, but he wasn't quite there. And so as I'm walking down the hallway and getting ready to go knock on this man's door, I'm suddenly brought to the awareness that I was taking care of my son, 3 years old, just a few minutes before this. And now I get to take care of this elderly man, almost 90 years older than my son. And here I am in the middle of those 2 points. So it put me into a very reflective point in my life, very, very reflective moment. And so I'm get this gentleman up, we're walking with his walker, and all of a sudden, I begin to smell the very familiar aroma of human feces. I look back behind us, and I realized that this gentleman had soiled himself. And it was a particularly busy day at the memory care unit. I sighed because I knew in that moment that I was going to have to take care of this, even though it was outside the scope of me as a physical therapist. Ordinarily, his aides or one of the nurses would help change him, but there was nobody to do that there today. There was no way I was going to let this man sit in his own crap for God knows how long. So we made our way to the bathroom, and here I am in a small stall with a man who's has this advanced memory challenge and doesn't really know what's happening. I'm just trying to take care of him and trying to help restore some dignity to this man. And all of a sudden it hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be cleaning up after this man. I don't want to do any of this. How could this be what I was put on this earth here to do? Are you really telling me that I was put here to sweep up human crap off the backside of a 92-year-old man? Are my best days, my most critical years of my life, best used by taking care of all these elderly folks? And this man in particular right now with my hands full of crap, changing his diaper in a bathroom of a memory care unit. Now that's no dishonor to that type of job because hey, we need all types of service. I just knew that that wasn't the best way that I could give my gift. In that moment, it was. And I was able to be there for that man in that moment. But that was the day I told myself, no more. I cannot allow myself to live my life in a way that makes this my ceiling. This can't be it. And I had felt that for a long time. And I had gotten stuck in this story where I didn't want to be doing this every single day of my life anymore. I wanted so badly to be in front of a camera recording things on a microphone that are going to help men all over the world. I wanted to work closely with men. I wanted to help build the future leaders of our society. But how could I do that while I'm cleaning up crap every day? But there was a really important message that came through in that moment for me. Something that I hadn't really enrolled myself in before, at least not wholeheartedly. That I was determined to do whatever it takes to no longer let wipe an ass be my job description. And from that moment forward, I remember sharing that with the men that I was coaching at the time in my other groups, the men in my men's team and men's circles, that I was going to remember the day where I cleaned my son's diaper and a 92-year-old man's diaper within the same hour. And that was going to be my rallying cry that, you know what, if I got to go to work and I got to wipe ass today so that I can create my future for tomorrow, then so be it. I'll do whatever it takes to get myself there. But I won't let this be the ceiling. I won't let this be the last stop on the train. Because I know that feeling that you probably have, that your version of the wiping ass story, where you're just like, how could I possibly keep doing this thing that I'm doing? What if you saw that thing that you're doing, your version of wiping ass, as the step to the next level? What if you could paint a picture in a story where this is just a chapter in the book of the greatest story ever told about your life? Let this be a step in the direction of your purpose, in the direction of your mission, your vision, your gift. Don't let it be the dead end. Don't let it discourage you. Don't let it force you to settle into some state of depression. Depression is just a state where I've allowed myself to be rendered actionless. And it's hard. I get it. I've been there before too. I've been in those deep, dark cellars. But if you can leverage your conditions as motivation and inspiration to keep reaching forward and just see it instead of a deterrent or a stop sign as something that allows you to bust through, to motivate you, then you can go to work and you can wipe ass today knowing that your future and your vision is waiting for you on the other side of all of this. And in the meantime, let that be today's story, but be determined to make tomorrow's story and next year's story different than this one. I wanted to share this story today because I still use that memory of how my mindset shifted from feeling bad about myself, feeling sorry for my circumstances. I wanted to put the whole victim narrative on my story at that time. I'm taking care of my family. I'm here changing diapers. Nobody sees how much possibility and potential I have to give in a bigger capacity. I'm not doing anything meaningful with my life. I swept all of that story off of the table and I turned it into one that was empowering me. This is building the resolve, the determination, the confidence, the clarity for me to keep pursuing the vision that I have in my heart. These experiences are so rich and abundant. They're going to help me get to the next level of my service if I'm determined to see it that way. So take your version of your wipe an ass story and let that motivate you. See that as a building block to where you're going next. Don't let it knock you down today, because it's just an early chapter in this amazing story that you're writing, but you have to continue writing it. Don't let it be a short story that you never finished. Develop that character. take this experience and leverage it into the next big thing that you're going to do. Because there's one thing for sure. You don't have to stop at the wiping ass. You can take it to the next level, but it's all up to you. All right, make sure you share this up. Get yourself registered in the Rising Man Brotherhood at risingman.org/brotherhood. The free Spark container will allow you to get access to all of our community calls and our free Telegram space so you can interact with other men in the community about topics just like this one. So go ahead, get yourself registered, and we'll see you on the next Wednesday podcast review.